Opening with the queen's pawn controls the center and usually leads to a more positional development of the pieces. The Indian game begins by controlling the important e4 square with the knight, rather than a pawn. c4 builds a strong center by controlling the important d5 square and creates a square for the knight to come to c3 without blocking the c-pawn. e6 opens up a line for the dark-squared bishop and prepares to castle quickly, while preparing to push a pawn to d5 and recapture with a pawn if captured. Knight f3 develops toward the center, putting pressure on the e5 square and adding another defender to the d4 pawn. d5 takes space in the center, attacks the c4 pawn, and helps control the e4 square. Developing the knight and increasing influence in the center. Knight bd7 develops the knight toward the center, defends the f6 knight, and controls the c5 and e5 squares. Bishop g5 develops the bishop and pins the knight. The bishop is kicked by a pawn and must now move or be captured. This move puts the bishop on a safer square. This activates a bishop by developing it off of its starting square. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. Castling kingside tends to be safer than queenside because the king is further from the center. Good job bringing your rook out early to build a solid position. Solid. Continuing with standard opening theory. This is an equal trade. Takes back. Developing the bishop and increasing influence in the center. That's fine. Castling to the same side of the board is a more cautious approach. Right on target. This moves the bishop to a better location, allowing it to control more squares. This loses a pawn. The knight was sacrificed, a stunning move. This is the way to win a pawn. Very precise. This is the strongest option. Black combines recapturing with the development of a new piece. This removes the attacking knight. This allows the knight to control more squares. This connects the rooks, which helps them work together. The rooks can see each other now, allowing them to provide mutual defense. This misses an opportunity to move a piece to safety. Black was worse off, but now they are in a losing position. Right on target. Black activates the last piece, bringing all pieces into play. Very precise. This offers an equal trade of pieces. This overlooks an opportunity to increase a bishop's scope by moving it to a better square. Recaptures. This is the strongest option. This offers to exchange pieces of equal value. White still has the better position, but they lost their winning advantage. Recaptures. The game is still close to equal, but white lost their advantage. This missed an opportunity to punish a mistake. This missed an opportunity to punish a mistake. This stops the opponent from being able to force a weak, isolated pawn. After all captures, this is an equal trade. This misses an opportunity to recapture a piece. This misses an opportunity to add a defender to a vulnerable rook. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. Takes back. Right on target. This offers an equal trade of pieces. This forces the opponent to get an isolated pawn on a semi-open file. Recaptures. A solid choice. One of the best moves. There were worse moves, but also something much better. Very precise. A very strong play. White's piece has moved to a square with greater activity and control. This is the strongest option. This gives away a free pawn. Right on target. Very precise. This is the strongest option. Right on target. This evades the check from the rook. Very precise. This steps away from the checking rook. The Sicilian defense controls the d4 square with c-pawn. Knight f3 develops the knight toward the center to prepare for a d4 pawn push, where the knight will recapture if black captures on d4. Knight c6 helps control both the d4 square and the e5 square. d4 offers to trade a center pawn for the c5 pawn in exchange for more control of the center and quick development. C takes d4 gives black 2 central pawns versus 1 central pawn for white. Knight takes d4 recaptures the pawn and activates the knight in return for having 1 central pawn versus black's 2 central pawns. Knight f6 develops the knight toward the center and attacks the undefended e4 pawn. Knight c3 defends the e4 pawn and puts more pressure on the d5 square. e5 takes space in the center and immediately attacks the knight on d4. Knight db5 gets the knight away from danger and threatens the strong knight d6 check. d6 stops the threat of knight d6 plus, supports the e5 pawn, and allows the light-squared bishop to develop. Knight d5 moves the knight to the center of the board, where it attacks the knight on f6 and threatens knight c7 check. This prevents the opponent from being able to win a rook through a fork. Recaptures. This move puts the knight on a safer square. This leads to a material winning pin. This kicks a knight. That pin will win material. Moving from its starting spot, the bishop gets involved in the game. This overlooks an opportunity to win material through a tactic. This stops the opponent from being able to tactically win a pawn. This overlooks an opportunity to develop a bishop off its starting square. A great find, leaving the rook vulnerable to attack. That rook was free for the taking. This is the only move that works. This attacks a bishop, winning a tempo when it moves away. This moves the bishop to safety. A good use of time, thinking and finding the only good move in the position. This offers an equal trade of pieces. After all captures, this is an equal trade. Takes back. This permits the opponent to develop a piece, while also winning a tempo on a queen. This threatens to win material through a tactic. This defends a rook that was under attack and had no defenders. There was only one good move there, and black did not spend enough time trying to find it. This wins time by threatening a queen and forcing it to move away. This overlooks a better way to pin a rook to the king. There was only one good move there. This threatens to win material through a discovered attack. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. This threatens to win material through a discovered attack. White's piece has moved to a square with greater activity and control. This is the only good move. This allows the opponent to win a tempo by threatening a queen. This passed pawn is a strong asset for black. This is a fair move. This passed pawn is a strong asset for black. This allows the opponent to eventually win material. This overlooks an opportunity to eventually win material. Right on target. Black still has the better position, but they lost their winning advantage. Black was better off, but now their position is winning. This moves the pawn to safety. This is the strongest option. This threatens to play checkmate. This threatens to tactically win a queen. This prevents the opponent from being able to tactically win a queen. Now, Black can't stop White from winning a pawn if they make the right moves. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. That pawn was free for the taking. This attacks a rook, winning a tempo when it moves away. This defends a rook that was under attack and had no defenders. This passed pawn is a strong asset for Black. The piece finds a new active square. This permits the opponent to win material because the pawn is pinned. The pawn is pinned, so White wins material with this move. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. That's an unfortunate error. The rook is kicked by a pawn and must now move or be captured, putting the piece on a blockade square. This misses a much better move. This overlooks a better way to move a queen to safety. Only one move worked there, and this wasn't it. White was worse off, but now they are in a losing position. This is the only good move. Very precise. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. A very strong play. This steps away from the checking queen. This is not the right idea. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. One of the best moves. This evades the check from the queen. Right on target. This protects an underdefended pawn that is under attack. A solid choice. Black finds a nice tactic with just seconds to spare, winning a rook. This threatens to force eventual checkmate. This is the strongest option. Recaptures. This evades the check from the queen, pushing a passed pawn. This loses a queen, but the position was losing no matter what. This is a nice tactic found in time trouble. Takes back. The pawn reaches the back rank and promotes to a queen. This stops the opponent from being able to force eventual checkmate. This blocks the check from an opposing queen.